Hey everybody, how are you? Thank you for tuning in on the original tour. My name is Bridget Walker. So today I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna switch things up. I'm so excited. um, a couple of weeks ago, I talked to one of my friends, and she told me her thoughts on the videos that I had posted. And after she told me what she thought about it, later on that night, I went and looked at the last video I posted when I was encouraging uh, my sisters and brothers. And I looked at myself when I was talking, and I automatically seen a block. So I got a pen and a piece of paper, and I started writing. And as I started writing and pouring out my thoughts, my views, my belief, my experiences, there was a process going on. And I had to confront the issues in myself, my fears, how I accepted growth, and above all, trusting myself. I realized that the root of my fear went much deeper, and I couldn't see it because my lack of perception. I realized that through so many years, I fought myself back and forth. I fought with myself trying to build relationships with people, and was disappointed because I didn't have a solid relationship with myself. So I would like to extend an invitation for you to come into my world where dreams and visions are delicately intertwined with my reality. I have learned in my journey through situations and moments in my life, the questions that I asked a long time ago, I lived through those questions and received an answer. There was situations in my life that I didn't understand what was going on, things that happened and I was confused. But when I got up, I believe that I was stronger. I am stronger. I am wiser, and I am a better person. And I would like to share that with you. I would like to go on this journey, and I want you to see how I discovered the mystery of my iniquity. And my first poem is called The Dream of a Dream. So enjoy, tell me your thoughts on it, and thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
For the ones who hear and the ones who can see, relax and let your mind flow and come away with me as I tell you a dream of a dream. There once was a bride, a queen, in the desert waiting for her king. She waited so patiently upon her rock throne, dressed in pure white, her face hidden behind a veil. Her identity I couldn't tell. Sand and chaos filled the air, but to her there was no harm. With her head held high, she knew her love would come, no matter how bad the storm. She knew the love that binds them would one day return her king. So like a bird, she would sing. Come to me, my love. Come like a bird singing her song. I'll be summoning my heart, just like the wolf howls at the moon. It's my heart promise to you. She would sing this song over and over. It's amazing because outside forces couldn't touch her. Now, on the left side of the desert in this dream of a dream, before me stood a unknown being, covered with a black cape, only seeing his eyes of jade green. He looked right through me, but he never said a word. But deep down inside I knew him. Silent he stood, standing in the way of a tree. It was short, skinny, with 7 small fruit, nothing special to me. From 4 to 8 years old, every night that dream summoned me. When it stopped, I blazed through life like fire under my feet, never thinking twice about the dream of a dream. Through challenging and life-altering events like hell I fought, and through every cut and stab that bruised my heart, me and that dream wasn't far apart. At 21, 13 years passed since I had the dream of a dream. Between those years, life was starting to challenge me. My womanhood was beckoning. I was more free in my sexuality. The intensity of sex made me feel like a beast. I wanted to feel love and affection, but I didn't know my true needs, what love really was, so I rejected it. Because deep inside me lived a secret, an action long ago that created a monster in me that eventually my body will need to feed. I didn't notice then my pain laid asleep, covered up, that will one day reveal to me how I loved. For 2 years, I began to have a slightly different dream. This time, it was just the unknown being, standing on a small island in a black cape. Still, his eyes of jade green. There was no desert, just a black void scene. But behind him had grown the tree. It was stronger this time. Its fruits were lit but dim. But this being was standing in front of them. Yet in silence, he still remained. For years, I studied and searched for its meaning, wrecking my brain, asking God what the fruit from the tree mean. A knowing in me said, soon you will see. Trusting that, I gave up the search and just lived, accepting and tasting all the pleasurable things life had to give. Consumed I became with all of them, overeating as if a pig. And in my lust for greed, I welcomed it. At 30, 9 years had passed. I was full of lust covered in greed. My hope was at its last, but I always remembered to have faith at least of a mustard seed. My heart knew that was all I need. I began to think about my life and all the things I do, realizing I wasn't living what in my heart was true. I seen my whole life before my eyes, a failure in me, I thought. What I said and how I act altogether was not in line with my heart. So I cried out, God, show me myself. Why am I the way I am? I just want to understand. Time went by. For months, the insatiable craving for intensity was in overload. Like a volcano, I was ready to explode. Something in me had reached its peak. A feeling past desperation, wholeness was what it seeked. After 18 years, my relationship fell apart. We chose to part ways. I didn't know what was going on inside of me. These feelings, strong emotions, very complex and deeper than the sea, felt as if they were drowning me. But a twist of events caused even more confusion. It had become real, the dream, walking and dressed in illusion. I met another with intensity like me, with eyes of hazel green. When we met, my heart pulled, but it wasn't of true love. In us both was an intensity running over. Its capacity was full. He fitted the image of my dream man illusion, the perfect picture of what I thought was my attraction. Every moment was acted out like a play. It's like he knew everything to do and say. The ice around my heart began to melt day by day, but deception in the air lingered with a taste. Deception of self? Was this an up close and personal mask of me? Was he a mirror acting out the shadow in me, being controlled by my body, always ready to please? This encounter activated a realization in me. He actually inspired me to remember my worth. I am woman, a magnificent creature that walks this earth. I have the power to birth new life within myself and the patience to nurture it. And how he said it, I could feel his mother must have been a big impact on him. Hearing that made my heart flutter. Being intoxicated off what his lips spoke, we consumed ourselves in a requited passion and intensity for one another. Something happened when I unleashed all my emotions and let go. It was like the explosion of a supernova, blowing up my passion into pieces, slowly falling with a burning sizzle sound, disappearing into ashes. And just for an instant, it was me alone standing in a void. Puzzled by what just happened, he was too. 2 weeks went by. Just as quick as he blew into my life, he quickly disappeared like the wind. Confused by events that took place, I felt weak and could not find my way. In the midst of sadness, I began to contemplate. I realized this battle is with myself. Crying, I began to think of my view on men. What attracts me to them? Do I keep repeating old relationship patterns? Was my plans on building something durable and concrete? Or did I see them as a sex toy or a sexual fantasy? Did I even see the real human, him? Did I see them as a desire rather than a partner to help fulfill a need? Was I depending on a man to fulfill my dreams? Was I caught up trying to please the world's view of what a man and woman play should be? Was my logic of relationships broken? All those and many more questions came to me. I have been hiding in the shadow of thoughts my whole life, trying to be a good woman, a chosen wife, holding my tongue secretly, writing my thoughts and concerns in the still of night. The truth is, I was hiding from myself, hiding behind relationships in the way I was led to believe. It's not all about sex. It's about true intimacy. How could I have a stable and balanced relationship when I have no relationship with me? Why this self-denial? This pain I couldn't explain. I remember crying myself to sleep for 3 days. On the third night, I had again a dream. I was crying on my knees. A voice said, "Stand up, you're not alone." Before looking up, I noticed I was on a small island in space. In the midst of the darkness, 7 stars brightly lit shined around. So I breathed in deep and stood up off the ground. I looked up, and what did I see? The being with eyes of jade green. But this time, fire fueled them intensely. He did not have on a black cape, you see. He was shining like the sun to me. Behind him stood a tall and strong and beautiful tree. Its fruit was ripe and ready to eat. Water was flowing around it endlessly. He moved to the right side of me and grabbed my hand. When we touched, the light around him dimmed. In an instant, as if the moon, I began to understand. He represented that life force, that drive, the hope in me, my future. The dimness of the moon represented to me the treasures I have from my past hidden in the dark that I could not see. Scared and excited, we stood side by side. We took one step together and a garden appeared before our very eyes. I looked at him. He looked at me. I said, "Together, let's taste the first fruit of this tree." Reaching out for the first fruit to eat, grabbing it, anxious to experience its texture and taste, I began biting in a speed of slow savory. It was an apple, but to my surprise, it tasted like cotton candy. Being surprised, I turned so he could taste and see. When I looked around, it was just me.